Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, beautiful people. Welcome to another episode of Life with Shenita. I am Shenita Connolly, your host, and I am so excited that you are tuning in to this broadcast. I am so excited about my guest this evening. CJ Ives Lopez is the founder of the Authors Porch, where the lights never go out. And so when you think of an author, there's a purpose that an author has. And so his or her reason for or intent in writing may be to amuse the reader, maybe to persuade the reader, maybe to inform the reader. Um, there's so many reasons why people write. They may be instructions. And so CJ, developed this porch where authors can feel comfortable coming and talking and sharing with her. So I'm so excited to introduce her to you all so that we can all learn more about this amazing lady. So, again, if you would like and share the broadcast, tonight's topic again is the author's porch, and we're going to hear all about it from CJ. And so, without further delay, again, before we go into our conversation and I bring her in, please like and share the broadcast. And thank you so much for tuning in and just thank you for your support. I'm almost at 2 years. So thank you guys. So hold tight and I'll introduce you to CJ Ives Lopez. Good evening, CJ.
Hi, how are you doing, Shenita?
I am wonderful. How are you this evening?
I'm doing good. I've got my cup of hot chocolate and I'm ready.
I love it. You did say you were cold.
Yes, it's cold in South Texas. Like, who turned the air conditioning on down here?
Wow, I know that's unusual, right? Yes, so I am so glad that you joined me this evening to have a conversation about the Author's Porch. I just love that name is so just warm and fuzzy to me. And when you said where the lights never go out,
Yeah, we keep the porch light on. Like, literally, where's my finger going? Literally,
I
we keep
see
the
it.
porch light on. Yeah.
Yes, I love that. So that
Well,
means you're welcome.
yeah, because growing up, my grandma had a porch full of people. We were always hanging out on the porch. And even when I was deployed to Kuwait in 2011, 12, they named this internet cafe The Porch. And that's where I went and talked to then my boyfriend, now my husband.
I love it.
So it made sense to me. It's the one place where you talk about all the tea, all of the just all the things in life that mean something to you.
Love it. It's so warm. I feel just listening to your voice just is warm to me, like inviting, like come
Oh, thank
sit
you.
on the porch and let's talk.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, I'd like for you, before we do our icebreaker, to just, I know I shared your bio on Facebook, but if you just like to share a little bit more about introducing yourself to the audience, just a little bit more.
Well, thank you for that because there's more than just the author's porch to CJ because I was born in Indianapolis, Indiana, raised between the country dirt gravel road of Festus, Missouri,
Mhm.
and the concrete jungle of Indianapolis, Indiana. So I'm country and city all
I love it.
underneath this pink hair, right? And
And I
for
love
19,
it too, by the way.
yeah, thank you. And for 19 years, I went back and forth. And then at the age of 19, I needed to escape because there was nothing but drugs and violence and domestic abuse and all kinds of things. And I didn't feel like I belonged in that. I said, I want more. I need more. This
Mm.
cannot be my life. So at 19, I left and I joined the Air Force. And I spent 20 years living once again as somebody else. I had to live what I needed to be to survive. And I was very blessed to be able to spend 20 years with the engineers in the Air Force. I worked in the engineering field, maintenance, all that good stuff.
Mhm.
And I had two wonderful kids. They're both in college. My son's graduating in May.
Awesome. Yay.
I'm super stoked. Yeah, and it was wonderful. And I don't regret those 20 years in any way, shape, or form because it molded parts of me. It raised me.
Mm.
But when I retired, I realized that because I retired at 39, for the first 39 years of my life, I had been what everybody wanted me to be, whether it was my mother, my father, my sister, everybody, society, the military. I had been everything everyone else wanted me to be. So at 40 years old, I finally lived my dream. I published my first book.
Congratulations.
Between all of that, thank you.
Yes.
I married the love of my life, my husband. We've been married for 9 years now. He accepts every part of me, the part that I pretended to be, the real authentic part of me, all of it. And now I'm living my dream, and I get to talk to so many other people that are living theirs, and I'm authentically myself. So that's me in a
I
nutshell.
love it. I love it. When you said authentically you, it resonates with me because staying true to yourself is like my theme for the year. And I can't be any other way. I don't try to, pretend to be someone else. I like Shenita, the good, the bad, the ugly, all that I am finally embracing who I am.
Yeah. And it was hard because the ugly parts, it takes a while to like the ugly parts, right? For years you try to hide it and you try to act like it doesn't exist, and you beat it up inside your own head. There's this boxing match, for me it was an MMA match, because there was no holds barred. I was up in there with some arm bars and some jujitsu, and I don't even know jujitsu. I couldn't fight my way out of a wet paper bag. You fight that. But now I'm like, okay, this is the ugly part. Rock on, sister. Just get over it when you can.
Yes. And it's such a liberating place to be, isn't it?
It is.
It's so liberating when you can be authentically you. And everybody's not going to be okay with it, and you're okay with them not being okay with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. At first it was very lonely because you go, why can't people understand me?
Yes.
And then I thought, you know what? That's too much work. And I love you, but if you can't understand me, then just call me when you can.
There you go. And if you never can, have a great life. I only want the best for you. And that's
just comment back and forth on Facebook. I'm good.
And even if you don't comment, I still love you because I know you're out there spying.
Yes.
So yes. So as we continue our conversation, I have an icebreaker for you. So what is one thing that most people would be surprised to know about CJ?
So I had to really think about this one because I'm a chatterbox and I talk and tell like the weirdest things about myself all the time. But I really thought about this one. People would be really surprised to know that I went by an alias for 27 years of my life. I was forced to go by an alias for 27 years.
So a different name.
A whole different identity.
A whole different identity. Really? For 20, did you say 27 years?
27 years. I lived under a different identity.
Wow. That is interesting. So we're going to leave that right there. We're going to park that right there. That's interesting. So maybe later, as we get to know each other down the road, we'll talk about that. But tonight, this is Women's History Month. So tell us more about CJ the woman.
Gosh. CJ the woman is at times still the 5-year-old frightened girl who stood on a metal chair because a rooster tried to take her life. And then other times she's the woman who's ready to jump on a plane and go fight for everybody's freedom. And then At times, all I want is to go lay in my husband's lap and have him tell me everything's okay. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little bit of all of it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I love with my whole entire heart, and I will cut you off with the kneecaps if you do me wrong. I mean,
Let's keeping it real.
yeah, I'm a child of God first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
My
Mm-hmm.
God doesn't have a name other than God because it's what I was taught to call
Mm-hmm.
God when I was a child.
Mm-hmm.
But God isn't a man or a woman. It is a spiritual being who feeds my soul every single day. And I know in my heart and in every ounce of who I am, who that person, who that entity is. And I
Yes.
get my words wrong and I'm okay with it. That's who CJ as a woman is.
I love it. And you said you're a wife, a mother,
Yeah.
with a
Yeah.
soon to be graduate from college.
Yes, my oldest is going to graduate in May. My youngest is a sophomore, and they're at the same university up north. They decided to go 17 hours away because mom's a little wacky, and I'm okay with that as well. And I have 6 dogs, and
Six,
six,
like
and I'd have
five,
more.
six.
Yeah, I'd have more, but my husband cut me off. Yeah, he cut me
Ooh,
off.
ooh. I'm glad that you're in Texas and we can do virtual because I probably
Yeah,
would not be at your house. I'm just going to tell you.
and my little dog is paralyzed from the waist down on Mother's Day. We woke up to him paralyzed, and I rushed him 6 hours away for emergency surgery and didn't think twice. I just got in the car and we went to and got him surgery, and he stayed there for 5 days, and now he's paralyzed, and but we're okay because he's alive. I mean, I when I say I love with my whole heart, I
Mm.
love with my whole heart.
I have family members who are animal lovers, dog lovers, cat lovers, and I just, my heart goes out to you guys because I can feel the love. Like you truly love and care for those family members because when you think about it, they're family.
Yeah,
Yeah. So thank you for sharing. And I salute you and so many other women this month and every day for all that we do and all of who we are because we're
yeah.
so much. We're so much. We're so much.
Amen. I salute you back. I mean, we
Thank you.
were talking before the show, and you were absolutely phenomenal, Shenita.
Mm,
Absolutely phenomenal.
thank you. Thank you, CJ. So let's talk about the Authors Porch. Tell us more about how it started, um, when you started it, just tell us about
So when I wrote my first book in 2018, it was a children's book. That's how I came into the world of writing, was writing children's books, because I became a great aunt, and that so my pen name for writing children's books is Auntie Nan, because my great niece. And for the first 2 years of writing, it was so lonely. You couldn't get anyone to talk about anything. You couldn't learn about anything. Most authors wouldn't share stuff, and it just felt so lonely. So
it.
I wanted to talk to people. I wanted to talk to other authors. I wanted to talk about their journey, but a lot of them at the time wouldn't talk unless you had something to offer them.
Mm,
So, and then I realized a lot of them couldn't find ways to market their stuff, get their word about their books out.
mm,
And I learned how to become an author because I listened to a podcast, Author Like a Boss by Ella Barnard. I happened upon her podcast and I started listening to it. And by listening to her podcast, I learned how to write, format, edit, and self publish my books. And from there, I just started learning more and more and more. So, had it not been for that podcast, I would have never learned how to self publish. So
mm,
in November of 2020, well, a few months before that, I got in touch with an author friend of mine. And I said, I want to start a podcast. Here's the name. Do you think you want to do it with me? Because at that point, I was still having a lot of self doubt if I could even do it. And she
mhm.
said yes. So the first 2 or 3 episodes, we did it together. We would interview people. And then after that, she said, I'm too busy writing. I really need to focus on my writing.
Mhm,
I said,
mhm,
I totally get it. Totally.
mhm,
And then
mhm,
after that,
mhm.
it was just me. And I've just been going ever since. I've just been interviewing authors because I want to know about their story, want to understand and give them an opportunity to share because they don't get to. Marketing is so hard for authors.
Yes, it is.
So I realized how lonely the field was, and I wanted to make sure they knew that there was somebody listening.
And you were able to fill a void.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And a lot of I tried to get on podcasts as an author, but they either wanted money or you weren't in the right bracket or you weren't known enough and all that other stuff. So what I have is you can book straight on the website. Like
Mhm.
I don't care what level you are. Well, I mean, I do. I care everything about you. But
Right.
to me, it doesn't matter whether you are about to publish your first book or you're a New York Times bestseller or a Pulitzer Prize winner. I want to talk to all of you.
So you're like me, you
Mhm.
know, and the Bible says there's no respect of person, right? And
Mhm.
so we many times, and you said that people put you in this category. If you're not affluent, or you didn't hit the bestsellers list, or you don't make multi-million dollars, they don't want anything to do with you.
Yeah.
What about the regular people? What about embracing all people?
Yeah.
See, you're like me. You don't have to be a certain status for me to embrace, me to love you, me to hang out with you, me to talk with you.
Yeah.
So you're my kind of girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love everybody.
Real people. Yeah.
Mhm.
Real people, loving real people, accepting real people, making room for real people because, it's enough room in this world for everyone to get a
Yeah.
piece of the pie.
I mean, I didn't come from a to-do place or whatever. I mean, my family, we brought in people off the streets because my grandma was like, "No, it's cold out there. You need
Hmm.
to come in here and get warm." And she didn't know that person, and we'd be like, "Grandma, you don't know if they're gonna rob you or not." She's like, "They ain't gonna rob me, honey. We're all right." And they would come in off the streets. And my family, the podcast before the Authors Porch that I was doing, and we still have a sister live show. My mom and my sister cook out of their home. They go to the food pantry and they get a bunch of food. They cook it and they go to people on the streets. A lot of them are drug addicts because my sister fought for 25 years to get clean. 20, and we wrote a book about it. And they go out and they feed them. They don't know any of them. And they take clothes. My mom literally was given shoes so bad that, and we laugh about this only because it's my mom and we love her to death, but she's wild. She took the shoes off of her feet and she gave them to somebody, and then she got back in the car with just her socks on and went home and realized that was her last pair of shoes.
I
Now
love
she
it.
has friends, so of course, they've all brought her shoes over and said, "Barbara, quit giving your shoes away. We'll give you shoes to donate." But my mom, that's how much that she cares. And that's what I came from. I came from places like that. I came
Yes.
from a home where everybody is family.
Yes.
Even the ones that do you
Mm.
dirty is
Yes.
family. You just
Yes.
don't let them do you dirty again.
Right.
I mean, that's what people don't understand. So I don't, you can have $1 million and you can have $1, but we're all sitting at the same table and
Hello.
everybody gets the same amount of time to talk.
Exactly. I love it. I love it. I'm telling you, my friend Juana said, "You're her
Mm.
kind of girl too." And she said, "Congratulations to your sister.
Oh, thank you, Anna.
Kudos definitely to you and what you're doing, and to mom and your sister, and continued success on this journey, um, post, you know, um, addict, because that's a real life challenge for many people.
It is.
And it's not necessarily drugs, because it could be sex addict, it could be
Yeah.
food addict. That's how I got overweight. So we have to be real about it. I can laugh about it, but it's real. So
Yeah. It definitely is.
yeah. So I am so excited to hear that. So what has been your biggest accomplishment with the Authors Porch? I know you shared, some great information just now about the Authors Porch, but what has been like one of your highlights of your program?
Talking to the authors, getting the feedback that I had an author that was so scared to get on the show. She did not want to get on the camera. She did not want to even do the show. And I told her, it's up to you. And she says, well, I'll try it out. But if I don't know what to say, just go, help me out. And I did. And she talked the entire time, like me and you were talking, and we had a great time. And then afterwards she stayed back and she goes, that was so much fun. I didn't even realize we were on a show.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I get that from so many people that were nervous. And to me, that means that I'm doing something right for them.
That's
I'm
it.
giving them an opportunity, and they're getting to show who they truly are, not what the big conglomerate
Yes.
makes them feel that they have to be. They're showing their true self, who they are
Yes.
at the core of their being. And that's what their readers are going to connect with.
That's it.
So that's my biggest accomplishment, is being able to show the readers who that author truly is, and that's what's going to get their book to sell. And that's, to me, what I feel I was meant to do.
That's awesome, because people want to be able to relate. They want to be able to connect. And when you're not being your authentic self, they don't get to experience that.
Yeah.
When you're putting on this facade.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's hard because this whole camera thing isn't easy for people. The whole talking to somebody you don't know isn't easy, or being live and know that people's watching you isn't easy for people. And I still have it live. You could go back to Sister Live Show and see the first show I did. And I am not this same person.
That's it. That's it.
So it takes a while to get easy. But I think as hosts, to help someone feel comfortable on their skin, that right there is that special sauce, right?
Yes. Yes, that special sauce.
Yeah.
And not everyone has that special sauce.
Yeah.
So people who do, as Juana said, the host, and you just said, personality will make the guests feel comfortable. And before they know it, it's like, oh, it's over? Oh my goodness. I thought we had more time. I enjoyed it so much,
Yeah.
and authenticity,
Mm.
being real.
Yes.
Yes, being real. I love that. And so if you had to say or choose a person, who has been the most important person in your life, whether it was pre-Authors Porch or post-Authors Porch or during the development of it?
Yeah. So I've got my tissue just in case.
That's right. We've already I've been holding back. Yeah. So yeah.
I know it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
So there's actually two that are equal, because I think that they're basically the same person with the same spirit, just put into two people. And it's my grandmother, who passed away in 2010 while I was deployed to Kuwait, and my husband, because look, that voice crack, you heard it, right?
Yes, I did.
And I'm gonna make a lot of jokes just so I don't have to use the tissue, and y'all see how my face gets real ugly when I start crying a lot.
Is it the ugly cry?
Oh, it's the ugly one. It's like look, I just did it on TV. So and the reason is, when my grandmother passed in 2010, and I wasn't in Kuwait, I was in Oman. See, I can't remember where I was. I was in Oman, and the first person I called was my husband. He was my boy. He wasn't even my boyfriend. We were just friends at the time. Mm-hmm. And I sat in my tent, because we were living in tents, and I just cried on the phone for 2 hours, and he just sat there in pure silence for 2 hours and listened. And he continues to do that to this day. Mm-hmm. I wake up at 2:00 in the morning, and because I deal with chronic pain and migraines, and we could just sit here all night and talk about all kinds of things. I'm sure you come from a military background. You understand.
I can relate.
We're all broke down.
I can relate.
So, and I'll just cry to him, and he just sits and listens. And that's what my grandma would do, and he gets my type of humor, and he just that strength when you need it, that understanding, that patience, and that sheer inspiration, and can pick out just by looking at somebody if they're good or if they're not. My grandma had this saying, I can look at you
Intuition.
Yeah, my
Because
grandma, someone would walk in the house when we were little, and she would say, "Go on now, you get on out of my house." And we would be like, "Grandma, oh my
you're
God,
rude.
that's so embarrassing. That's so rude." I know her ways. That's what she would say. I know her ways. And I'm like, "Grandma, you do not know nobody's ways." My
And now
husband's the
you
same way.
understand it.
My husband's the same way. And I listened to him. I didn't listen to my grandma back then because I was young and dumb. And, I'm still,
Mhm.
sometimes I don't listen. My husband goes, "I told you." But I think they're the same person
Isn't
sometimes.
that amazing?
Yeah.
How that can be, and I've experienced that too. Um, it's a wonderful feeling to know that you have someone, like you said, that will just listen to you cry and not say a word, just be there for
Yeah.
you. And I don't know if you have a picture of grandma, if you want to share it or not, but
I don't have it in this office. They're all next to they're all on my nightstand.
okay, okay.
Yeah, she
I s-
sleeps
and,
with me every night.
and I see, I just noticed Tyrell and Elizabeth in the behind you.
Yes,
I
yes.
literally just
Let me
just
get the
noticed
headphones.
that.
Yeah. My office here is kind of bleak from any family stuff. Well, they're family, so I don't know
Mhm,
why I said that.
mhm.
But yeah, isn't that
I
they're
love it.
they're awesome.
Authors reviews.
Yeah, so let me get this right. They were the January cover um, of the Authors Porch magazine, which is the magazine for our podcast. But they're awesome.
Yeah,
They should be in Louisiana right now,
yeah.
right?
I think they flew out today.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
So I kept telling Elizabeth, I kept saying, "Be safe, be safe." She's like, we haven't left yet." I'm like, "Come on, I need you to go so I can see all the
yes,
pictures."
yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes,
yeah.
yes,
Two amazing individuals right
yes.
there.
Awesome. On a purpose-filled journey.
Man,
But when you were talking about your husband, and it made me think about my husband,
mm, amen.
and I miss him and my brother. We're approaching 1 year of my brother's passing on the 14th, which is Monday. And so I've been thinking and just about him so much lately, and thinking about how supportive he was in my life, how him and my husband were so close, and my baby brother, they all loved each other. And just thinking about how important life is, how valuable we are, and how we should love each other while we can, because
Yeah,
we don't know when the last day or the last moment, as I share with you, will be for us. And so, cherish your loved ones while you can. I can't say it enough to people. So, with that being said, what do you wish you had known 10 years ago?
10 years ago, I wish I would have known that I could be free and still accepted, and that it was okay to be me.
I love it.
Yeah,
But you're there now,
yeah. I
shining
don't.
like a diamond.
A little rough
Yes,
diamond, but I'm still alive.
that's okay. Look, I,
Yeah.
I have my aches and pains too. I'll be 58 in October, and I'm like, you know
Get
what?
out.
Yes,
You
58 in October.
No way. There ain't no way.
Let me tell you, I am so excited about almost being 60. There was a time when I was like, "Ooh, you old when you're 60." I'm thinking we're just beginning to live.
That's true. Every year I get excited about people. Aren't you upset that you've lived your prime? I'm in my prime. What are you talking
I'm
about?
in my prime too, baby.
Yes.
Look, I mean, we are. What do they call it? Prime rib. Prime rib. Yes. If you get me, you got prime rib. I'm telling you.
Mm,
Yes. And I know that. They may not know it, but I know it.
yes. They're just not
So
paying attention. That's what
they're
it
not
is.
paying attention, they're missing out.
Mm.
So, what has been your biggest failure and how has it shaped who you are today?
So I go back to that not being being myself for so many years. That was one of my biggest failures. But by not being who I was, it taught me grace for other people. It
Ooh,
taught me how to understand that I can be patient with people and know that they may not have come into themselves yet,
mm,
and not to write them off just for the simple fact that they don't know
mm,
how to be authentic yet, that they haven't found their core yet. So, had I not been through those years of fighting against my own inner turmoil, thinking I had to be this way or that way to get along, to survive, had I not done all of that before living my true self, I wouldn't understand people. I wouldn't have
mm.
the patience to give them grace. So, my biggest failure allowed me to be patient for humankind.
I thank you for that because although I extend grace and I like to receive grace, there are some times when I'm impatient with people that I have constantly tried to help. And it circles back around because there's one particular person in my life right now who I know that they need me. And it's almost like, God, did you attach this person to my life so that we both can learn a lesson?
Yes.
And it's been more than 10 years that they've been attached to my life.
Wow.
So, and I want to see them overcome.
Mm.
But at the same time, I do realize that I am evolving through this journey as well
Yeah.
while this person is trying to find themselves. And so my oldest daughter, who is always a blessing to me, she will always come to me and just break it down to a level where I have to say, you're right. And I'm so thankful for that too, because I feel like I am still evolving as well, even at 50, almost 58 years old, particularly when I'm dealing with this particular person. And
Yeah.
so you're right, we have to be more patient, more understanding. Everybody didn't grow up like we did. Everybody didn't get the education we got. Everybody didn't learn the things that we learned, or had a grandma like you to share this or that. And so thank you for sharing that because that is so important.
It is. There is a time when that patience is wonderful and that grace is wonderful, but enabling is a whole different level too, right?
It
You
is.
can and you can give them grace and you can show them patience, but you can also show them that they have to stand.
Yes.
Yeah.
My friend Juana said, yes, most of the time, what we
Mhm.
what we help others go through mold us. Yes,
That's
and we
so true.
become teetered together. And you're right. We don't want to enable someone, but we want to be there to help them get to a different level, but not
Yeah.
be a crutch. And so
Right.
it's a fine line,
You
you know.
know, they say that you you learn from everybody, and you learn from, so I attest it too, you learn from great leaders, but you learn even more from horrible leaders,
Mm,
right? Because it puts you in this growth spurt that you will never find anywhere else.
mm,
And the thing is you will always go back to your great leaders. You will always contact them. You will always quote them. You will always remember that.
mm.
But you'll never go back to, nor will you invite over or quote the bad ones, but you learned more from them.
Yes. Ooh,
And that's the same thing with people. The people that Cling on because they know what you have to offer them. You don't always have to give them things. You don't always have to teach them. They can watch from afar and still be taught, right? And you're going to learn more from them and the things that they try to put you through. But your spirit knows if their spirit is irritating you and how you are not supposed to be together.
Ooh, let me tell you, that is the truth.com. Because when those spirits don't line up, it is best that you are away from me.
You feel it in your toes. That's how deep it
Woo!
goes.
Oh my goodness.
I
Yes.
almost start rocking in my chair. I
Oh,
was like, wait
look,
a minute,
like
it's not a
this.
rocking,
Look.
it's not even a
It's
rocking
got a
chair.
rocket chair. Yes. 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 Yes, indeed. That is so true. So, are there any funny stories, any memories, or even characters from your life that make you smile when you think about them? I know you talked about grandma. Um, are there any other stories or
Yeah.
memories or characters that just make you smile and giddy?
There are so many, but one of my favorite ones was in Kosovo, and the reason why I say this because I worked for the Irish Army when I was there. I was part of NATO, and we were in Film City, and it was NATO headquarters. And I worked for the Irish, and it was an Irish colonel that was in charge of us. And my best friend, she became my best friend, and she's still my best friend. I love her to death. She's Amy. Her name's Amy, and she was Irish Army at the time. She was his admin, and I tell you, I could not get enough of the Irish accent at the time. But the Irish colonel, he was a lush. He was a drinker, and he would make us leave work at like 3 o'clock and order us all over to the Irish house. And the Irish house was
To the
their
pub.
national support element. But on every country there had a national support element, but above it, below it, or connected to it was a bar. So he would order us all over there and make us drink Irish coffees. So we would all, I never knew I would like an Irish coffee because
I
I
like
was
it.
never a whiskey person.
Hmm.
Well, we ended up going the next morning after a night out with the colonel and the whole Irish contingent. And the next morning, because every morning at 7, we had a meeting with the colonel and all of
Hmm.
them.
Hmm.
And we were done. I was late to the meeting. And we get there and he's got his hand like this. He's like, oh, Fucked.
Right.
It's horrible. And the doctors in Kosovo at the time were the Italians. We were a multinational. We were the support element. And he was like, "Un doctor, you got something for my head." And the doctor, who's Italian, and he spoke very little English. So the French lady the French were part of the billeting. They did all of the billets. She said she had to translate because she knew Italian, and the doctor said, Tylenol? Because the Italians drink more than the Irish, apparently. So the Irish commander told him, get the Fuck out of my meeting. And he was serious. And when I thought, oh my God, where do they have me?
Right.
Like, where did they send me? But anyway, so yeah, that was the best, one of my funnest deployments. It was absolutely hilarious because
I love it.
he would have barbecues and he would invite the Spanish general, all the generals from all the different places, and he'd be like, hey, girls, come on. You got to have pretty girls to sit around here and make sure that they're entertained and everything. I was like, this is totally inappropriate, sir. And
Right.
he was like, hey, you shut up, sit down. I'm like, he's like, I'll buy your drinks all week. Okay. And it was all fun loving. He didn't mean
Right.
it seriously or anything,
Right.
but so much fun working for the Irish.
Oh,
They are the best. I'm still in touch with them today, but it
that's
was
awesome.
hilarious.
And
Absolutely hilarious.
it's funny you say that because McCants is an Irish name, right?
Mm,
That's my maiden name. And
okay.
so my grandfather's mother was Irish. Hmm.
That's so cool.
Yes.
That's so
So
cool.
yeah, isn't that cool? But yes, that is amazing.
So I have a funny story real quick.
Hmm.
We were doing our family history, and my 14th cousin on my grandmother's side is the King of Scotland.
Get
They don't
out.
have one anymore, but
Right.
it's oh god, why is his name eluding me? Probably because I'm live and I'm freaking out. But seriously, the lineage goes to the King of Scotland. I've got the picture
Wow.
of it. I'll send it to you afterwards. But yeah, I was like, oh my god, I'm royalty. Not really, but you know.
Right.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
That is amazing. That is amazing. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe it's Scottish, not Irish. But yeah. But nonetheless, um, that's a great story. Thank you for sharing that. And I have another one for you. Um, this has been one of the best interviews ever. How would you like to be remembered, CJ? When you leave this world, how would you like to be remembered?
um, as someone, excuse my language, but I have to say it this way.
Yeah, say it. Be authentically you.
I want to be remembered as someone who gave a shit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's really it.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who
Mm-hmm.
cared.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I that's what I want. We did this exercise when I was in Okinawa.
Mm-hmm.
I was stationed in Okinawa and I went to this course. I was chosen to go to a course they were given on base from Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. There was
I
a
know
book.
that.
Hey
Mm-hmm.
Tyrell, how you
Mm-hmm.
doing,
Yes.
buddy? So they actually put the course on there in Okinawa and I was chosen to go. And the very first thing they made us do, they said, after we did our introductions, they said, okay, first assignment, and you have 5 minutes. Write down what someone will say at your funeral. Not what you think they will say, what you will say, what they will say at your funeral. And I thought, well, yeah, they'll probably, oh, wait, they'll probably, yeah, I think they'll say this.
Mm,
Then I had to think, well, who the heck would show up? Where am I going to be when I die? And then he said, you're probably thinking a million and one questions, but can you honestly say what someone is going to
mm.
say at your funeral? And it made me think, and then I got really sad because I thought, how am I going to be remembered? I honestly want people sitting around and going, man, she really gave a shit.
That's right. That's right.
Whatever it is about, just she gave a shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love it. I love it. Wanda said, that's a deep question. How would
Yeah.
you like to be remembered?
Yeah.
And I feel her. She said, I want to be remembered as impactful.
Hmm.
Me too.
Yeah.
I want people to say she made an impact in my life, some way, shape, form, or fashion,
Yeah.
and that she cared, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
I gave a shit.
Right.
Yes.
Because there's a lack of shits out there.
Mm-hmm. 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 There, you're right.
Yeah.
Very selfish, self-serving, self-seeking, and not very many people are like us.
Yeah.
Tyrell said the authors, he gave you a shout out, the authors porch.
Hey, yeah, Playtime
And
Multimedia and Publishing,
yes,
absolutely.
yes.
Where
And
your
so
books come to life.
yes, yes, yes. So I want people to think about, what will they be remembered for when they leave this earth. I really hope that anyone watching tonight will think about that and think about whatever they may be doing now. If it doesn't line up with what they would like to be remembered as, that they'll make the necessary changes.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. They should be
And
thinking about that every day of their life, not
mhm,
when it's going to end, how it's going to end,
mhm,
but when you wake up, are you fulfilling your purpose? Are you doing something that is going to assist you and getting there in the end? Or are you just trying to make money? We all want to make money. We all want to live comfortably. We all want to be warm. None of us want to be carried out on a stretcher pregnant because we just got shelled like the people in Ukraine. None of us want to be there. I
Right.
get that.
Right.
But at the same time, are you doing something that matters to you or somebody else?
That's it.
Because it's
That's
not
it.
always about money.
That's it. That's it. That is so true. I have a friend, she asked me to come to North Carolina and share my testimony in my book soon. And I said, I would love to. And she was like, how much would you charge? And I said, I'm not going to charge a fee. This is how I would like for it to be handled. But it's not always about money. But
Yeah.
you want to be very responsible in your decision and how you go about doing things. But I think it's ludicrous to charge 10, 15, $20,000 for a speaking engagement. But that's me.
Mm-hmm.
I know there are companies who will pay those astronomical fees, and maybe one day I'll be one of the recipients of that type of money. But I just think that some things are just over the top because you can. I'm talking about some of our
So,
big people who have made millions and billions, and they charge 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, $50,000 for a speaking engagement. Why?
well, here's another way of thinking about it, Shenita. If you were charging $20,000, because I think that you are worth $20,000 for a speaking engagement based off of this conversation we've had and hearing about your life story. If
Thank
you
you.
charge $20,000, are you going to use that whole $20,000 for yourself? Or are you going to give back to your community? Are
That
you
part.
going to give back to the widows that you teach in your life
Mhm,
consulting course,
mhm,
as
mhm,
well as all the people that you help in your community?
mhm. Absolutely.
So
And
you are
that,
worth that $20,000. That's why you charge $20,000 for your speaking
I
gigs.
never thought about it like that.
So
But
to me, there's a way of thinking of it, but there are people that are charging that and they're
and
buying
not
Lamborghinis.
that was my point right there.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
totally get you. I totally get you,
Mhm,
but
mhm,
I honestly think that you are worth that $20,000, and not only because of the story and what you have to share, but because of what you will do with that $20,000 and
mhm.
the lives that you will change because of it.
Yes. Yes, because I definitely have a huge vision. One of the things, and I'll share this real quick, is when a wife loses a husband, and I'm not saying that's every situation, a small portion. Some are in poverty, right? Some are devastated financially. And so I would love to have this housing facility,
Mm,
one level facility where they don't have to stress about who's going to make the next payment,
yeah,
who's going to do this. They have an opportunity to breathe again
yeah.
while they grieve, if that makes sense.
It absolutely does
And
because I'll share with you a small little story about in Kosovo. It was more than just drinking. That was just to blow off some steam. We went out to women's shelters.
mhm,
During the Kosovo War in the 90s, a lot of the women were left without husbands.
mhm,
I went to these women's shelters and I talked to these women, and luckily they had created exactly what you had talked about, but they couldn't stay there. They were just there for the day to talk, and they had one computer amongst
mm,
20 to 30
mm,
women to look for a job, and their jobs weren't online because they weren't technologically advanced enough. So it was really just a meeting place for women to talk to each other, 20 to 30 of them and their kids to play. But they didn't have a lot of the things that they needed because they just didn't have the support.
mhm,
So we organized drives to bring in clothes for the kids, for the
mm,
women, and even computers. We brought
mm,
computers to them and stuff. But you're absolutely right. They lost their husbands. They lost everything. And in countries like that and in other places where there's one breadwinner. If you look at my situation, I'm the breadwinner. My husband gave up his company to follow me around the world. And I said, since you gave up so much, I don't want you to work. I'd rather you be at home and support me because I need your support.
Mhm.
So we've lived that life where he stays at home and I do the work. If he loses me, there's a possibility he would go there. We're blessed to where I retired from the military, so he'll get that paycheck. But if I hadn't retired from the military, he would be in that situation.
That's right.
So what you could do for
Mhm.
people,
Mhm.
imagine.
Yeah, and I know it because I lived it. And so, unlike your husband, I was my husband's, well, actually his third wife, but
Mm-hmm.
we didn't go to make sure that when his status changed after losing his previous wife, right,
Yeah.
that his retirement check, he selected the option to make sure that there's an insurance premium that I would receive that check, so I don't.
Oh my gosh.
Right? So when I was sharing the story with you, when you go from over $6,000 a month to less than 1,000 a month in a matter of seconds
Yes.
or 3 weeks, because he was on a respirator for 3 weeks, the reality of this change is like, oh my God, okay, Lord. But God shared with me, and he still reminds me today. You are equipped with everything you need, Shenita, to not only survive, but to thrive. And
Mm.
so I'm reminded of that every single day that I want to have a pity party.
Yeah.
Sometimes I want to have a pity party. And he
Yeah.
reminds me, nope, you cannot go backwards. You have to keep moving forward. And so, yes, I want to make sure that I'm very helpful to others who may go down this path, in providing resources and an opportunity for them to have a reprieve,
Yeah.
from it all. So,
Yeah.
I'm so glad that, Elizabeth, I think, is the one who shared the Authors Porch and introduced me to you virtually.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've got to have her on the show, because I saw a podcast or a something that you were speaking, and I was like, I got to have her. So I said, will you reach will you reach out to her and ask if she's available? So I'm so glad that, we did that. But before we close out, would you share just a little bit about, like, your book? Tell us a little bit about your book or books.
So I'm a multi-genre author. I have over 22 books published from I have children's books. That's the majority of my books. I have 14 of those. And I try to write things. So my Paw Paw series is about my dad, actually, and it's fictionalized. He goes on a magical recliner. He takes all the kids everywhere. And then I have the Papaw Chronicles, where they go back in time and they're in a van. And that's off of my brother-in-law and my great niece.
Mm-hmm.
And then my Roscoe and Charlie, which is my signature series, where it's my dogs and they travel around the world, but it's Roscoe and Charlie. The R and the C is me and my husband's initials,
I
and it's
love
our
it.
travels through the military. So I try to incorporate a lot of real life fictionalized.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I
And
love
then
that.
my books under CJ Ives Lopez stem from the one that just came out is The Core of Survival. It's 10 women's survival stories, the very thing that was meant to take them down. They survived through it. It's their story. Elizabeth, God bless her soul, she actually helped me come up with that title because it was a different title. I rebranded it and changed some things within the book, and all the proceeds of that book goes to Project Die Hard, and that whole series, actually, as it gets written, everything will go to Project Die Hard, which helps. It's going to be a big facility, and it's going to help veterans get off the streets
I
and
love it.
reinvent themselves and stuff like that. The second volume, which I will be opening up this summer, it will be for men to tell their survival story. The
Mm,
first volume has women who have been through prostitution, who have been through drug addiction, suicidal thoughts, have tried to commit suicide, so on and so forth, sexual assault, child molestation, things like that. So
mhm.
it's just reading their stories to help you go through your traumas and relate. basically know that you're not alone.
Yes.
And then I wrote my sister's book, An Addict's Journey Home, The Tale of Two Sisters. And I wrote it based off of a conversation that me and her had when she actually opened up to me and told me what she had went through for 25 years in her drug addiction. And it's very raw, very open, and very real. And it is a conversation between me and her. The whole book is, and how I'm feeling inside as she's telling me all this stuff. I have some romance stories, fictionalized romance stories, and I have a young adult fantasy book that me and my 15-year-old nephew, who is kind of on the autism spectrum, but not fully, we wrote together, and it's a young adult fantasy. So I have a little bit of everything, and it's so much fun. I have a free book. If anyone wants to reach out and read the free book, I could send them the free book, which is Hopeless in the City. And it's actually about three best friends that live in a small town. They go to the big city to be on Broadway. And from that book, I'm actually writing another free book that will lead into an anthology that I'm writing for next year, and then it will span into a 9-book series.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
So I'm having so much fun.
Covered.
Well, I try to. So I'm probably missing something in there, but yeah, I've got a couple 1-hour short stories. So if you ever want to read something on your lunch break, it's all electronic. You can find it on Amazon. All my books are on Amazon. Some of them are on different platforms, but yeah, they're all published through Amazon.
That's what I was going to ask you to share how someone can purchase a copy, because Juana D. Days, she has a podcast with 4 other people. I think it's 5 of them. No, it's 4 of them. And it's called The Brew Crew.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's so cool. If you get a chance, check them out. The Brew Crew. And,
write that down.
And she mentioned something the other day about writing a book. And so I know she has one in her. She's actually featured in my first book, Is Your House in Order? And she is, yes, it's 4 of them. She is near and dear to me. And so it's Let's Start the Brew. Yes, Let's Start the Brew.
Okay, I have to listen.
Thank you, Juana. Thank you for helping your sister out. Let's Start the Brew. And they started too, baby. They all have 4 different totally personalities from each other, and they have a blast. So you can hear anything from cursing to the Lord to everything. They are authentically themselves, and I absolutely love them.
Oh, that's going to have to be my morning show. I might have to listen to that while I'm having my coffee in the morning.
Yes, you can watch the replays, and you will get a kick. It's on Wednesday nights. Last night I tuned in. So Juana D. Days and Let's Start the Brew. That's the show. So if you want to highlight your website and anything, please feel free to do that now as we prepare to close out.
Yeah, so if anyone wants to find out where all my books are, they can go to cgiveslopez.com. If they want to find out about the Authors Porch or the Authors Porch magazine, that's the podcast and the magazine, they can go to theauthorsporch.com. And that's the same on all social media platforms. It's the Authors Porch on all social media's platforms. Lord help me, social media platforms. And if they want to get in touch with me, I'm CJ Ives Lopez on all social media platforms as well. Even when I can't talk, I can type pretty good.
Yes, so I am so excited that you took the time to be available tonight. You know, I know it was a challenge for you and having to make some adjustments to your schedule, but thank you so much for making the time. It was definitely worth my time. And Juana said thank you. And I'm sure whoever watches this tonight or tomorrow, the replay, they will be truly blessed by this conversation.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this for so long. I double booked myself, but when I realized I did, I was like, oh, I got to cancel because I've got to talk to Shenita. And I want to invite you onto the Authors Porch, Shenita, because I think that our audience needs you. They need to hear from you.
I would love
So,
to.
yeah, so we're going to have to get together after the show and get you booked.
Yes, I will definitely be honored. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. And it has been more than a pleasure talking with you this evening. And I'm loving that pink hair.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You know, I used to wear that burgundy hair. I was telling you, I might need to do
Mm,
it. And I just got some highlights, but you really can't see them that great. But yeah, a little spice.
you have
Keep it
to. You
spicy.
got to show up in the world. Sometimes you got to do
Yes,
it a little loud.
yes, yes. I'm here.
Yes.
Here I here I am. So, yes. So thank you so much, Juana. Thank you everyone who's watching. And CJ, I'm gonna see you in the green room in just a few minutes as I
Yes,
close
ma'am.
out. Thank you, dear. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that conversation with me and CJ Ives Lopez. She is one amazing lady. I knew when I saw her broadcast that I had to get to know her. I had to speak to her. And so hopefully you guys will connect with her at the authorsporch.com, on all social media outlets, the Authors Porch, and her personal page, cjiveslopez.com is her website, and Ives Lopez on all social media outlets as well. So please connect. She has free books. If you're an author and you want to be featured on her platform, go online and get connected, guys. The porch light is always on. So stay connected with her. Remember, I love you, but God loves you most. He loves you best. Peace, love, joy today and always. Again, thank you for tuning in. And please tune in next Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another amazing show as we highlight these amazing women this month. I'm highlighting women and all the amazing work that we do. There's no greater gift that God gave this world than a woman. And I believe that. And so, Juana, she says she loves that the porch light is always on. Yes, I love it too. So we will see you guys next week. Take care.